Rashid?
And even if he never intends to carry through with what he's committed himself to, I would agree, and yes. I think that Netanyahu, however, has probably, you never say never with this guy,
right,
but probably reached the end of his tether, at least as far as a very large segment of Israeli opinion is concerned. I'm reading the editorials in the Israeli papers the last few days. There's a bitterness and a anger with him, not just from the predictable left-wing Haaretz commentators, but from a range of Israelis who are accusing him of not just betrayal of the ideals of Likud, which some people don't particularly care about, but of incompetence, and of, as Adam suggested, needlessly poking a finger in the eye of the United States at almost every possible opportunity.
And everybody else, the Palestinians and his own colleagues too.
Yeah, and also of systematically lying to people in the Knesset again and again, so many times, simultaneously, out of both sides of his mouth, to the point that he has become a figure of ridicule, not just in the papers, but amongst his colleagues in the Knesset. I read a speech that Haim Ramon, who's no friend of Netanyahu's, admittedly he's a Labour Party leader, gave. But he was making fun of the deals that Netanyahu was simultaneously cutting, even as Ramon spoke on the floor of the Knesset. And said he has just told Knesset member Darav this, and he has just told Likud member that, and he has just told this one that. And these are three contradictory things. He's lying to all of you, and you know it. And I think he's close to the end of his rope. He'll swing around a little longer, maybe a lot longer, but it's not just a matter of his having alienated the United States, which I think the good sense of the ordinary Israeli citizen is going to impose sooner or later on him the need to step down. In other words, Israelis understand that when a Shamir alienates President Bush, even if they agree with some of what Shamir says, it's probably time for a change in government. And I believe that sooner or later, sadly 2.5 years too late, the true truculence, bad faith, and other nasty characteristics of this prime minister have finally gotten not only the goat of President Clinton and his advisors, but a very large segment of Israeli public opinion and elite opinion. So I think hopefully we may be seeing the back of this character, though I don't know, he's like a vampire. You have to drive a stake into him to get rid of him.
Well, he in 5 days there's a no confidence vote that he may well lose, but as you say, he's been very resilient. When David Levy left the cabinet in January, I thought that he only had weeks to go, and I was proved wrong. So the guy is Teflon-like, so it's hard to say.
What is a
sort of like our president?
Well, it's funny you mention that because Bibi wants to stay in office no matter what, whether it's good for the country or not good for the country, whether it's good for the peace process or not good for the peace process. What he cares about is himself. And I mean, I don't want to drag the subject into American politics, but there are other people in the Middle East this weekend and yesterday who I think have a very similar attitude toward their own predicament.
What is the Likud vision thing? If somebody could create a new Likud vision, is there a way to do that now with the peace process the way it is?
Well, there is no Likud party anymore. One of the other things that Bibi's done, for better or for worse, is he's destroyed the party. He's sent splinters of it heading in every direction. You had David Levy heading to Gesher and Ronnie Milo heading out as an independent, and Dan Meridor. I mean, he's destroyed his own party. And obviously the ideological foundation of the Likud, which was basically the Greater Israel movement, is no longer a means for uniting any political force in Israel. Insofar as there is an ideological core to Likud, it's anti-socialist to some degree. Although even there, you have to speak conditionally, because when Likud has been in power after 1977, they were not reluctant to feed from the public trough any less than Labor was. So I don't think there really is a Likud party anymore, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few years, if there's an election coming up in the spring and in the years after that, if that party essentially, if that bloc essentially becomes defunct. I mean, it just doesn't exist anymore.